We're live and direct, just a short live today. See if anyone pulls in. But talking boxing as usual. Great weekend for it, great weekend for it. A lot's happened. There's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna see what's up. Give it a couple of minutes and see if anyone pulls up. I can see two people in the house. Thanks for stepping in. Appreciate it. Drop a comment if you can hear me. As soon as I get that thumbs up and get the all clear for audio, I'll get it started. Thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it. What's going on? Can you hear me all right? Let me know if the audio is all good and I'll get it started. Nana's live. Thanks for tuning in. Can you hear me okay? Just drop a comment and I'll start the show. As soon as I get the all clear, the show starts. But thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Just a short live today. Back to the wall. Dog audio is all good. All right, man. TFM. Thanks for stopping in, brother. And still, the unified heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk. So he's still the champ, he's still the champ. Loud and clear. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Um, got three people in the house. Thank you all for stopping in. So he's still the champ, It was a good fight overall. I want to first talk about the Zhang fight. Zile Zhang against Philip Herkovic. A lot of people thought that Zile Zhang will get knocked out, including myself. I don't really know who Zhang was, and I wanted to apologize to everybody that I was talking to before, saying calling them Zing Zhang, mispronouncing his name, because I never really knew who he was. So now I definitely know who he is, and he put up a hell of a fight. I'm not sure if you saw the fight, TFM, Nana's life. I'm not sure if you saw the fight, but it was a hell of a fight. It was a great fight. Herkovic really surprised me. He really surprised me. I don't know why. He kept walking into that left hand. I mean, Zhang, I think, was just everyone's worst nightmare, and I think that Herkovic done everyone a big favor here. Zhang kept going forward, and he ended up, really hurting Herkovic, knocking him down in the first round. Um, and that right hook, being a southpaw, that right hook really made Herkovic move to his left, to move to Zhang's left, to set him up for this big shot, power shots. He kept moving forward, and man, I was very surprised, and it was a great fight. I was surprised that both of them were still standing at the end of the fight. They're both exchanging huge blows, massive blows. Like I said, I'm not sure if you guys watched that fight, but if you didn't watch it, watch the replay for sure. Catch the replay because it was definitely one to watch. In that undercard, it was probably my favorite fight on the undercard. Um, and it was more explosive than the main event. It was more explosive than the main event. The main event, Joshua versus Usyk. I mean, there was a lot of boxing. There was a lot of it wasn't really heavyweight massive blows. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Fury versus Wilder. It was a lot of boxing and things like that. It was a great fight overall. But the Zhang versus Herkovic was a classic heavyweight. You know, um, Even though they was slow and they didn't really you know fight for the number one. Hell of a fight. Zhang has a hell of a chin. Yeah, he's got a hell of a chin. What's going on, Betty Gathers? Thanks for tuning in. He's got a hell of a chin. Hell of a chin. He's got and like I said, Herkovic. I think he done everyone a big favor by beating him because Zhang would have caused anyone problems. Being a southpaw, walking a man down. I know he probably would have caused Wilder problems too. Trying to walk down Wilder, and you know what I mean. He took a lot of hits. He took a lot of um, big blows from Herkovic. And Herkovic's meant to be a heavy-handed fighter. I mean, you can say, well, Wilder's got a bigger shot than Herkovic and all that, but at the end of the day, Herkovic's on an 80% knockout KO ratio. So I mean, numbers don't lie, and in that aspect, and Zhang might just have a hell of a chin, and he can just take anyone's punch. Who knows? But I do know that he would have caused a lot of people problems, and he definitely done what Joshua couldn't do. Come forward. Now I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that fight. Um, Getting the Zhang fight out of the way. SGT, what's going on, brother? Thanks for tuning in, my man. Hey, I saw your video, man. I saw your video. Congratulations on meeting Mr. T. I'm guessing that's the Mr. T from Rocky. You know what I mean? I know he was in the military, and that's classic stuff, man. Go check out SGT. Go check him out, um, for sure. But as I was saying, Zhang, he's got a hell of a chin, like TFM mentioned, and he done what Joshua couldn't do. He done what Joshua couldn't do. Now we're gonna get into that now. We're gonna get into that now. Joshua Usyk, man. Before we talk about the end of the fight, I just want to talk about the actual fight. Because I know a lot happened at the end of the fight. People are talking about it, all over the place. And man, what a good fight. The thing is, Joshua, I think that he really did put up a good fight this time. I was saying he's got to be unpredictable, and he was unpredictable. Instead of hooking to the body with the left, he was hooking to the body with the right. He was being very unpredictable. But the problem is that he wasn't following up. He wasn't following him. Although he won the first two rounds, he wasn't following him. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's got to watch those Porter fights. When Porter he goes after you, he will go after you, hunt you down. You know what I mean? There's a massive level gap between Zhang and the Croatian and the main event. Usyk Joshua was a lot higher skilled. Oh, for sure. No, no doubt, no doubt. No doubt. A lot more skilled. I'm just saying that Zhang would have given people problems. Being southpaw. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But talking on the Joshua fight, the Joshua Usyk fight. Um, like I said, the right hands to the bodies was working. Because Usyk wasn't, expecting that. So Joshua kept landing, and he was hurting Usyk. But the problem here was that he couldn't shut down Usyk's jab. Usyk had too much space, especially with that up jab that he was hitting Joshua with. Joshua really needed to land the left hook, and I was saying that, he's got to land the left hook to shut down the jab and then follow him, then just go for it. And he couldn't shut down the jab, that was the problem. Um, and, Usyk capitalized with all the space that he was given. He was given far too much space. Now, Usyk is a guy that really paces himself, and people don't realize this. He's a guy that really paces himself um, throughout the fight. He'll come out fast, in the first couple of rounds, or maybe the third or fourth round, and then as the fight drags on, he'll drop in pace, a couple of rounds, and he'll put the pace back on. That's what he does, and that's what happened in that round 9. He dropped in pace, you know what I mean? And Joshua capitalized. He went after him, and he almost had him in that round 9. He almost had him in that round 9. The only problem is it was just too late for him. It was far too late for him. And by the time round 10 came, he never really had any answers because, by then Usyk put on the pace. You know what I mean? So, man, it was definitely a great fight. This time it was more closer. Um, but by far Usyk was the more superior boxer, and we saw that on the night. He was just the better boxer, and Joshua knew that. Joshua knew that he just couldn't find a way, to to chase him around, because simply the fact was because he couldn't shut down the jab. He couldn't shut down that jab. And that really costed him. That really costed him in the long run, being unable to shut down the jab, because those first 6, 7 rounds, really counted for Joshua. He doesn't have an engine like Usyk's. He doesn't have that pace that can last for the whole fight. He gasses out easily, and we saw that in the last couple of rounds. Usyk just went for it. Joshua was trying to, use his weight, kneel down on him, and he was, tumbling over him, really, trying to move forward as best as he could, but it just wasn't working out for him. He just didn't have that stamina. He didn't have, anything left in the tank at that stage, to my opinion. And Usyk, was just a far better boxer. And I was saying that, Joshua would definitely not lose by knockout. I mentioned that. I knew that Joshua was there. He was all in it. His heart was in it, man. He was training hard, and he was doing what he needed to do, to get the result. And, it just wasn't working when you're trying to box a guy that's a more superior boxer. It's never going to work. It's never going to work, And the jab, is the number one thing you got to shut down in all fights, And that's what Zhang done against Hukovic. He by using that right hook, made him go to his strong side. In this case, Usyk was far too comfortable on Joshua's left side. Far too comfortable. Um, do you think AJ improved from the first fight? Absolutely. Do you, that's a great breakdown. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it, and I had a feeling it was going to go into the championship rounds. Yeah, for sure. SGT. I'm gonna answer TFM, and then I'm gonna get straight back into that comment. So the improvements that Joshua made, in my opinion, was that he was unpredictable with the right to the body, and also going forward, that was the only way to really beat Usyk. When you're going into a fight, you got to try to figure out how you're gonna beat the guy, and the only way to really know is by watching film and to know who's beating him. And Porter's beating him, and Porter's a guy that always follows you around. He's always on you. You know what I mean? So Joshua improved in that aspect. I don't know if you watched Porter, but he did try to go after Usyk in that round 9. And I think he improved there. And he almost had him. He really did almost have him. There was a couple of times that Usyk was praying in the corner. He was hurt. Joshua was a gifted puncher, on the left and the right hand. You talk about Wilder and all that. Wilder's gifted in the right. He's got a good left hook. Joshua's gifted in both hands. He's a heavy puncher. And Usyk was feeling those body shots. The unpredictability of, instead of throwing the left to the body, he's throwing the right to the body. And that worked. So I think he did improve from the first fight by miles. I think that the first fight was just he was getting outschooled. He's getting outschooled, and this time he tried to use his own strengths. He used his power and used his size. But it's just that those first rounds, he couldn't really get past that jab. He had to throw that left hook to try to shut it down. You know what I mean? And he couldn't do that. He couldn't. He was unable to do that, and that gave Usyk the confidence to jump in and out of the pocket because he had the jab there. He had the jab to back Joshua off and to give him space to control the fight. And Joshua couldn't get past that jab. Going to SGT stacking, great breakdown, 100%. It was a good fight. I had a feeling it was going to the championship rounds there. No, for sure, 100%. Like I said, the first fight, Joshua was getting outschooled, and he was still standing up at the end of the fight. That's 12 rounds. And Usyk was unloading on him, a couple of rounds. He was just going for it non-stop, and by Joshua surviving that, I knew that he would last, in the second fight. And I know that people thought, well, Usyk's bulked up, Usyk's going for the KO. But I mean, when has Usyk gone for the KO? You know what I mean? When you look back at Usyk's fights, against Joyce and all that, coming up in the amateurs, all his fights, you know, um, you never really see him getting KOs. You just see him outboxing and outschooling the other fighter. You don't see him really going for the KO. Um, to my knowledge, anyway, he's not really a heavy-handed fighter like Joshua, and he's got to just use his speed, and that's what he done. He capitalized with his speed. He was able to use his space, and it's always dangerous, when that's the case. You know what I mean? Thanks for everyone coming. Yeah, for sure. No, thank you all for coming, man. I always appreciate it when the boxing public tune in, and SGT stacking TFM, man. I appreciate it, as well as Betty, and I believe there was another one, Nana's live. Thank you all for tuning in. For sure. I really do appreciate it. But let's move on. Let's talk about this. No doubt, great chat. All-star chat right here, man. Great channels. Um, let's talk about this. This thing that happened after the fight with Joshua. What was your guys' take on it? I mean, I thought I was very shocked. I was very shocked because Joshua's. He's always really been a good sport. He's always been, you know, all about respect. Excuse me, all about respect and all that. I was very shocked. What's your take on it? Leave a comment on it. I was shocked for sure. I wasn't expecting it. And I thought it was disrespectful. I thought it was disrespectful to Usyk. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, he won fair and square. You could understand if there was controversial. It was a controversial fight, but even his promoter said that that he lost. You know what I mean? So I mean, I was very shocked at that. It was a fair fight. The referee did a good job. There wasn't any dirty playing in the fight. And I was very shocked that Joshua reacted like that. I mean, I know that sometimes fighters can go to their corners, and they may not be thinking that they're losing. Their corners may be saying, "Yo, man, you're winning the fight. Keep doing what you're doing." I know that sometimes that's the case. But in that situation, surely Joshua knew that Usyk was outlanding him. And I couldn't understand why he done what he done. It was very out of line and unexpected for everyone. and it's not a good look at all for him. I was very shocked. I've never seen something like that in boxing. We a fighter throws the belts after the fight, and it was something new for sure. It was something new for sure. I mean, sure, we've had, disqualifications and things like that. Vander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, we've had, air body moments and all that stuff. But I mean, after a fight, I've never seen anything like that where it's a fair fight, it's a big fight, it's a sell-out fight, and you throw the titles on the ground, walk away, come back. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. So I was shocked. I was very shocked at what happened. I thought it was out of line. I thought that what's going on, Backlash Fisherman. Thanks for tuning in. I thought it was out of line. Just talking about the Joshua, the last out. I was talking about the undercard before. I ran through the fight as well. So I'm just up to the last shot of Joshua. I'm not sure if you saw it, but he definitely lashed out. He was out of line. He threw the belts on the ground after the fight, came back to the ring, and confronted Usyk, took his flag off of him. And mind you, Usyk's a guy that was in a wall, and took the flag off of him, and then he says, "How did you beat me?" And then after that, he says like a big speech, and that was definitely Usyk's moment to say that sort of speech, and it wasn't the right speech too, it was definitely Usyk's moment to say a big speech, to address the whole crowd about the war and things like that, about how he feels. And I feel like Joshua, definitely he couldn't handle his emotions for sure. I think that he took something away from Usyk that night. Usyk was very, professional, calm and collected, and he's lucky that Usyk cooperated with him. He could have it could have really turned ugly. You know what I mean? He could have got his bodyguards and things like that involved. It could have turned really ugly. So he's lucky that Usyk cooperated. But it was definitely, not the right time for him to say anything, especially after, throwing the belts on the ground and then walking out and being allowed to come back. I mean, I think they should have just stopped him there and said, listen, you're not in a state to even grab the mic or return to the ring. You've just thrown the belts on the ground, which you could have possibly damaged. And there was no coming back after that. Me personally, I would have, if I was Usyk, I would have said, don't let him back in the ring. That's what I would have said, if I was Usyk. Because anyone in that state of mind, that's throwing things and storming off and swearing and things like that, walking out of the ring without shaking a man's hand after a fight, shouldn't be allowed to return. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he did apologize the next day. But as they say, sorry can only go so far. Once it's done, it's done. And we experienced this in our lives. People do things and then they say sorry, but what's already done is done. You can't really turn back the clock. Sorry is just a word at the end of the day. But I mean, he did apologize. He said, I was wrong. Full respect to Usyk and all that. So I mean, he acknowledged his actions the next day, and that was that. That was that. But it was definitely shocking. It was definitely not called for, and I was definitely in shock too. I couldn't believe it. Just because Joshua's been, he's been a very well composed, good sportsmanship. He's always been that heavyweight. Out of all heavyweights, it's been him. The guy with the best sportsmanship. Him and probably, Usyk as well. I'm not talking about, after the fight. I'm talking about, build ups and things like that. During the fight, press conferences, he's always been respectable. And it took everyone by surprise. I think it took the whole world by surprise that watched the fight. Um, but it's done now anyway. Like I said, sorry is just a word. But I'm glad that he did. Come clean and acknowledge that he was in the wrong. But full props to Usyk. Beating Joshua. A guy that's been dominating for a long time. I mean, Usyk's only been in the division for a couple of fights now, and he's proven to beat the guy on the top, one of the guys on the top, I should say. Obviously, we got the man, Tyson Fury, um, who is the best, without a doubt. He is the best. He beat Deontay Wilder. He had the Ring Magazine Championship. He's the best, and I know that Usyk has the Ring Magazine Championship now, and he could claim and say, you know what, when you beat Vladimir Klitschko, I wasn't there, So I mean, I'm the best. But at the end of the day, what Fury has proven in this division is that he's fought everybody in their backyard. He fought Klitschko, he fought Wilder in his backyard. These other guys ain't doing that. So in my eyes, he is the best. Um, and obviously, like I said, it's anyone's game. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and it seems like this fight's going ahead. Um, and that's great. That's great for the sport. That's great for the sport. It's been over 21 years that we've seen a heavyweight champ, and it's a shame, that Joshua and Wilder didn't fight for it. It's a shame that they held everyone up for the last 5 years. That they had the perfect opportunity to fight each other for it, and I took guys that were more skilled and you know more talented to step up to the plate. Because that's exactly what it was. And obviously, Wilder's got that equalizer, and you can never write that off. But I'm just saying, it's a shame that the fight never happened for the undisputed. Because that would have been a classic, and it should have happened 4 or 5 years ago. Like I said, the fighting fans have been waiting, and it seems like the wait is over. It seems like the wait is over, um, which is great to see. Which is great to see. So, so it's gonna be Fury versus Usyk for undisputed. There's um there's already talks about it. Nothing's confirmed as of yet, but it's looking to be highly likely. All the allegations of Fury getting shopped or whatever for the case, investigation seems to be off the table. Like I said, I'll only talk about it if I see it, and I haven't seen anything about it, so it's pointless, making false accusations if you don't have anything in writing, So I mean, it seems like this fight is going to go ahead, which is great for the sport. Like I said, like I just finished saying a couple of times. I know I've repeated myself, but it has been over 21 years, So I mean, it's worthwhile repeating myself, So December's the date, apparently, according to a few sources that I've seen, December. So it's likely to be this year. Nothing's in writing yet, but I mean, it's gonna be a classic for sure. It's gonna be a classic for sure. And I'm gonna ask. I don't know if SGT is still on the building, but TFM, let us know. What's your take on it? Who do you see winning? Backlash Fisherman. If you're into the boxing, um, Betty Gathers. All of you. If you guys watch boxing, or if you guys are interested in that fight, let me know who you think's gonna win. Drop it in the comments. I always like to hear, the chat. The chat's important to me. That's what keeps the show going. So drop your take on it, man. Who do you see winning? I mean, time will definitely tell. I hope the fight gets made, but I don't see why it shouldn't get made. I don't see why it shouldn't get made. There is an open window for December, and I'm expecting it to go ahead. But like I said, who do you have winning? Drop a comment. You know, I think it's gonna be. I think that it's gonna be close. Oh, Sean, no doubt, man. I know people get busy. I know that people get busy for sure. SGT, I appreciate you, stopping in before work, man. That means a lot. That's much respect. I'm referring to Usyk and Fury for sure. I'm just asking the chat who do they think's gonna win before I sign off myself. It's not a long live today, and until that fight's made, I'm gonna talk about it. Um, but it's not really made yet, so I won't dig too deep into it. You know what I mean? Hopefully it goes ahead. I've got Fury. I'll say this. I'll say this. Fury has struggled with active fighters such as Wallin. One can only stay king for too long. I think Usyk is a great contender, and I think he has what it takes. Whoa, man, that's SGT talking right there, man. I think Usyk has what it takes. Hopefully it goes ahead. TFM saying that Fury struggle with active fighter. It's gonna be a good fight for sure. A lot of people are writing off Usyk. A lot of people are writing off Usyk. I'm not gonna say names. I'm sure that Betty Gathers knows who I'm talking about. But people are writing off saying Fury's gonna win. Um, Hands down, he's too big. But he's challenging a guy that knows how to box. And the thing is with Fury, even though coming forward is the way to beat Usyk and to not take that space away from him. Um, Fighting backwards might be the way as well for Fury because he's better at fighting backwards than fighting forwards. He's very vulnerable coming forward. He was fighting Deontay Wilder, which I know. I don't really like to say he's not that skilled, but I've just got to be realistic. He hasn't been in the game for too long, and he was coming forward against him, and Wilder was able to nail him to the canvas a couple of times. You know what I mean? So and that sense, Fury may be better, fighting on the back foot against Usyk, because Fury's very talented going backwards, on the back foot. And it's not like Usyk can knock him out like Wilder. He's not going to really, you know what I mean? He can go southpaw. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I think if Fury does go forward and beats the bigger man, Usyk could possibly, just throw a lot of punches and get away from him. But it is definitely an interesting fight. I will dig into it, when it's announced and all that. And Usyk is a hell of a contender, a hell of a contender. I would say this: he's the most skilled. Fury's the most talented, and I've been saying that for a long time. Why I say Fury's the most talented is because he's 6'9", and he moves like a middleweight, and he can box southpaw. He can box on the back foot. It didn't take him that long to box on the front foot. He's talented. So he may just be getting better, with his craft. He may be getting better going forwards. You know what I mean? But the problem here is that I have my main problem with that fight is Sugar Hill possibly not being in his corner because Sugar Hill was the main driver for him, in that trilogy. Ben Davidson, did what he done, but Fury could always box on the back foot, and we saw this against Klitschko. He made him look like a schoolboy. You know what I mean? Like he really did outschool him. It's like a professional challenging a student. And that's what he done against Klitschko. The guy that was the reigning champ for what, for 10 years or whatever the case was. And you made him look like a schoolboy. You made him look like a student. So um, Usyk can win for sure. He can outwork Fury, but I see Fury winning. Yeah, Fury is a guy that always raises to the occasion. When he's challenging lower opposition, he fumbles a lot. You remember that Steve Cunningham, less than 50% knockout ratio was able to floor Fury, you know, and he always raises to the occasion. Somehow he just I think it's that adrenaline and just that buzz. And I think that's what survived them in the 12th round. Just that adrenaline of getting up in the 12th, and it was the 12th round. I think if it was in any other round, he would have lost. He's just one of those dudes that raises to the occasion when he needs to. Fury's is tough though. The dude knows how to move for a big guy. I love these tops. Yeah, for sure, man. That's what I'm saying. He's the most talented because he is so big. Normally when you see big guys, they're sloppy and they don't really have that skill, that footwork. But Fury's, he's got a mobile jab like Ali. Like he's like the Ali in the division in the sense that he has a mobile jab, he moves, and um, but Usyk's, more skilled. I'd say more skilled. He's just sneaky. He's very sneaky. Instead of throwing, two left straights, he'll throw three left straights, or he'll throw a jab, two left straights, a triple jab. He's very sneaky, unpredictable. He's a very crafty fighter. He's more skilled than Fury, I'd say, but Fury is more talented because what he can do and how fast he can adapt to. I think Sugar Hill will be there for a big fight. He's got to be there, TFM. He has to be there. If he's not there, then I'm picking Usyk hands down. Because in that round four, if Sugar Hill wasn't there, Fury would have lost. I'll tell you that. Sugar Hill really did, guide him the right path, and he was the right guy in his corner. And that's why he changed trainers. That's why he changed trainers. He needed someone like Sugar Hill to be right in his face, in his corner, to guide him to the victory. He needed that, and and you all know about the manual straw and all that stuff. People know about that. The Kronk style and all that. And like I said, the way to beat Usyk is to go after him, not give him space. Um, but that being said, Fury's great at boxing on the back foot, and he's got the reach, and he can also switch to southpaw. I was going to compare his moves to Ali's, but I was just a little hesitant of saying it out of respect for the great. Oh no, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying that he's, I'm just saying that I'm talking about his mobile jab. The mobile jab. Like where he's moving, he's using the jab and moving around. Where it's throwing the opponent off. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about when I say Fury and Ali. I think another thing that Fury does bring that's very that it's a great comparison to Ali is his energy before the fight. That's the thing that Ali always brought. He brought people confidence um, to speak up as a fighter. To speak up as a fighter because I think without Ali, a lot of people wouldn't be speaking up like a fighter. You know what I mean. They'll just be saying not saying much and going in the ring. But he gave people their confidence because he was so outspoken. And Fury's the same. He's very outspoken, very confident. Backs himself 100%. They're both similar in that aspect. You always see people talking now, and the first thing they say is, you come close to Ali. That's the first thing that people say because he was so good at it. And I think that Fury is up there. With promoting himself, being confident before a fight. He's up there. He's definitely the man in the division for mind games, things like that. Backing himself and you know being funny. Because that's what Ali was as well. Just being funny before the fight. Making people laugh. And Fury's similar in that aspect. But for sure, Ali's he was the one of the greatest of all time. Um, if not the greatest of all time. In my opinion, you know what I mean. So I mean, SGT. I'm not comparing him to Ali. I'm just mentioning the mobile jab. I agree with you 100%. No doubt, man. Appreciate it. But no, yeah, it's gonna be a great turnout. It's gonna be a great turnout. The heavyweight division is is lit. It's on fire right now. We got a great stack of fights. I mean, Wilder's back as well. And another fight. Wilder Joshua, they need to fight each other. The fight's been we've been waiting for over 5 years. And now's the perfect time to fight each other. I don't see why they shouldn't. I mean, if Usyk and Fury's fighting, I think AJ and Wilder should fight. They all owe it to boxing. They're the four guys on top. Obviously, you can chuck Joyce in there because he's undefeated. But they owe it to boxing to fight each other. Give the fans what they want to see. We'll be waiting for a long time for them to fight. And a lot of people thought that Wilder would have returned, but now that fight is still a possibility, and I still want to see it. Regardless if there's titles on the line or not. Because there's been a lot of debate of who's the best. In the division. So I mean, they owe it to the fighting fans to fight each other. You know, um, and I think there's a possibility. Wilder said that he's gonna have 3 fights. What's going on, Warm Strong, man? I'm about to shut off soon. We've been talking a lot. Appreciate you stopping in there, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Just a heads up, we got SGT and TFM saying that Usyk's got a good chance of winning, and it's going to be a close fight. So I mean, Usyk is good, man. Usyk is good. It is a mixed playing field right here in the chat. Um, but but yeah, I was just talking about Wilder, Joshua. They need to fight each other. The fights need to happen, and they owe it to the fans. We've been waiting over 5 years um, for them to fight each other. I know that there's an undisputed on the line, and finally we're going to see an undisputed champion. Hopefully, they're still in talks. They're still in the talk. Yeah, for sure. Warm Strong. Grab SGT. Grab his channel, man. Great channel. Um, check him out. Everyone, check him out. Check out TFM as well. You know, Wilder AJ needs to happen. No more excuses. No doubt. No doubt. They owe it to the fans. They owe it to the fans. We've been waiting. I mean, how long have they been holding the belts? Just holding the belts, fighting these 40-year-old guys. Fighting these. You could call them second grade fighters. Fighting all these guys, knocking them out in devastating fashion, knocking them down, breaking them down in the first couple of rounds. All this massive hype, and then they don't fight each other. That doesn't make sense. I feel like fans are being let down majorly. They need to fight each other. They need to fight each other. It needs to happen. And I mean, when it challenges Fury versus Usyk, simple as that. One more fight for the road, and maybe Joe Joyce comes along as well. Let's see him in the mix. He's undefeated. Let's see what he has. Let's see how strong he is. I mean, we've seen what Herkovic's made of. Maybe Joyce would have shut down Zhang. Who knows? Because that's the thing. Joe Joyce is a guy that no one really knows how strong he is. No one knows how strong he is. I mean, he shut down Dubois with the jab. So I mean, it'll be good to see him in the mix as well. But I appreciate everyone coming in, man. I really do. I appreciate you guys' time. It's been a great talk for sure. Um, we still got 15 minutes, man. I'm tempted to make it to that hour. I'm tempted to make it to that hour mark. I mean, I've got 45 minutes, 3 people in the bowling still. I appreciate you guys' time. SGT, I appreciate you stopping in before work, brother. And TFM, the panel's always open, like I always say. And boxing is lit. Boxing is lit is all I gotta say. And the thing is, because I've always been about the heavyweight division. I've always been about that. Joyce needs to get a shot too, getting aged up. getting aged by the Ducks. Everyone waiting until he's 40 before giving him a chance. For sure, Joyce needs a shot. And Joyce should actually be number one. That shouldn't be a debate. He should be ranked number one in the WBC right now. Wilder came off two back-to-back losses. Joyce is undefeated. You know, no doubt SGT, no doubt, but anytime, like I said, I mean, when I'm live, I'm just live. I'll jump on, no announcements, just jump on when I can, and I appreciate you catching me, before work and all that, man. I appreciate your time, man, for sure. Um, but like I was saying, you know, like I was saying, I mean, Wilder came off, a back-to-back loss against Tyson Fury, and he was still number one. Where Joe Joyce he should have been number one. He's the only one that's undefeated. I mean, Joseph Parker's lost. I think he's already number three anyway in the WBC. I know that he's already WBO mandatory, but he should be WBC mandatory right now as well. Being undefeated. You know what I mean? Um, and that doesn't make sense to me. The rankings. I know that Wilder's the prize fighter. I know that he's going to bring them more money. I know that he's already a Hall of Famer. You can agree or disagree, but he's a Hall of Famer. Um, Superstar boxer right now. But who do you got? Yui Fury versus Hunter, underrated fight. Winner will be in the mix as well. Yeah, that's a good fight. Yui Fury and Hunter. That's a great fight. I like that fight for sure. Um, I think with that fight, something happened to Yui Fury. I'm not sure. I can't remember what happened, but I think I mean you can never forget that that Povetkin versus Hunter fight. That was a classic. But I'm not. Man, you've got me on the fence line with that fight, man. I think it's gonna be close. I mean, I think Hunter's been ducking a lot of fighters. Yui Fury's been, I think, been against better opposition. Obviously Hunter fought, Povetkin, but he's been turning down a lot of fights, And I think that Yui Fury might cause him problems. I think that Yui Fury might be the guy that maybe you should have ducked because I think Yui Fury might beat him. You know what I mean? I'm not sure where Hunter's head is, but I know that he has got a lot of offers to fight multiple fights and he's turned it down. But I'm gonna pick Yui Fury. I think that he will beat him. I think it'll be a hell of a fight. I think that Hunter's gonna give him problems. But I think that Fury will just be more of a better boxer than Hunter. I think that his boxing ability will win him the fight. I think Hunter will try to hurt him, but I think Yuri Fury will outbox him. That's my take on it. What's yours? Leave yours. They'll definitely be in the mix. I think that they will possibly fight. Um, someone in the top five after that. I mean, Joshua's fit to fight now. I mean, because Joshua was actually ranked fifth in that Usyk fight. Which was quite a shock. Yeah, Josh Hunter fought Usyk. Yeah, Hunter fought. Oh, for sure. But I'm talking about recent times. Hunter's had some great fights too. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, Michael Hunter. He's had some great fights for sure. But I mean, Usyk beats them all. Usyk's shown that um, that he always finds a way to win. Even though the fight, was tough, he still won. It's the result that counts. And um, it should be a good one. I've got to look into that one a bit more. See if I mean, Hunter's just been inactive for a while, I believe. I mean, I can't recall his last fight. Um, I haven't really been following him too much. That's why I give Louis Fury the edge. But I believe he did something did happen in that fight. I think he pulled out. I can't recall now. I can't recall what happened. It's definitely an underrated fight. It's something that I've got to look into for sure. It's something I've got to look into for sure. I've been focused on these top guys, for a while, and I think I've definitely got to, look into that fight. So thanks for bringing that up. I definitely look into it, do a breakdown. Do a bit of yeah, it got cancelled. It got cancelled. It got cancelled, TF, and that's what I'm saying. These people. Um, I think it was something with Yuri Fury's health or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but that fight got cancelled. Um, so that's why I haven't really been, looking into it too much. They need to reschedule, yeah, no doubt. They have to reschedule it. But like I said, although Michael Hunter's fought tough guys, he's been turning down a lot of fights recently. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, it's not like he's mandatory. I mean, if you're not mandatory, you should be going for it regardless. You know what I mean? If you're not the champion, you should be going for it regardless. Fight anybody, any place, anytime, anywhere. You know, 7 days a week, twice on a Sunday. You got to go for it. And the fact that he's been, turning down a lot of fights is a bit worrying to me. And that's why I choose Fury. Yuri Fury, because I know that Yuri Fury is a fighting man. So the guy with the heart always wins. But it could be multiple things. I'm not sure what it is. Why Hunter hasn't been fighting. I mean, it could be a health related thing. This is just a fan looking in. But I'll definitely look into that fight a bit more. Now that you mentioned it, and I'll do a breakdown. Hopefully it does get rescheduled, like you're saying. But I like the fight for sure. Like I said, Joshua was fifth. He was fifth. In the Usyk fight. So winner could challenge AJ. If the Wilder fight doesn't happen, who knows? Who knows? But I think that the fans will, when Wilder gets, not if, but when he gets past Robert Alanius, I'm expecting a devastating knockout for that fight. I'm expecting the fans to really try to make that AJ Wilder fight, happen. I know that Wilder's got other plans. He wants to fight either Ortiz or Ruiz, the winner. But I think that the boxing public, because we've been waiting for so long, I mean, I'm definitely going to speak on it. I might be a small channel, but you never know who's watching. You never do know who's watching. I can guarantee you that. I've had a few people, say things, a few people, and I've checked them out, and you never know. And that's the same for you guys. You never know who's watching when you do put content out there. It could be anybody, and the more they hear it, the more the word gets out, the more likely it's going to happen. Because the fans always come first in boxing. Even though the fights never happen, the fans are the ones that are paying for the fights. The fans are the ones that are watching the fights, and the fans want to see the Wilder versus AJ fight. They owe it to us. So I'm definitely going to speak on it. I encourage anybody else that has a channel or thinking of starting a channel, a boxing channel, to talk on it. Because the more the word gets out, the more likely it's going to happen. And but yeah, we're going to see what goes on anyway. We're going to see what goes on anyway with that fight. Um, Obviously, we got some great fights coming up. Some huge fights coming up. Um, Wilder shouldn't be thinking about anything but AJ or shot at Usyk. Yeah, I mean, 100% agree with you. At the end of the day, even though Wilder's talking about bouts, Joshua was the cash cow. Even though he lost, he's still the cash cow. You look at Canelo, like he lost to Bivol. He's still the cash cow. People don't even talk about Bova anymore. You know what I mean? He's still the man that's gonna make the money. The money. And Wilder. This will be Wilder's biggest payday. It'll be more than Fury. I'll give you that. It'll be more than Fury. AJ versus Wilder. I can guarantee you that because Wilder's stock rose up after Fury. After that trilogy, and AJ's always going to be the cash cow. So the money, the bag's going to be insane for that fight. And why would you turn that down? Why would you turn that down? It doesn't make sense. You know, for sure, TFM it all seems like he's ducking now. Gee, I mean, I'm not sure what it is, SGT. I'm not sure if it's a duck or I'm not sure, but all I do know is that the fans will talk about it. And I do know that people will want to see it. But I know that Wilder's saying, that he wants to get the bouts. And at the moment, AJ's at the bottom of getting the shot. I mean, I know that there's voluntary defenses. You can still win the fight and have a voluntary defense. But the problem is that we got Herkovic, we got Joe Joyce. We got those two guys already in line for next year. So when does the voluntary defense come in line? When you already have two, sanctioning bodies, after you trying to get a shot, two mandatories, I should say, my apologies, come trying to get a shot and a third one on the way with the WBC, and they're all due next year. How do you fit a voluntary defense? That's because that fight's going to take at least 4 months to build. So I mean, I'm not sure how much time they have. Because the thing with mandatories too, if the fighters don't push for it, it could take 2 years. It just depends on the fighters and most of all the promoters and all that, the management team. If I'm mandatory, I'm calling my promoter and my manager every night of the week and saying, "Give me a title shot." Every night. Never mind good morning or good afternoon. I'll say, "Get me a title shot. I want it ASAP." I've worked hard. Let's make it happen. You know what I mean? And but I'm different, and I'm obviously not a fighter, but all I'm saying, that the fighter can definitely push for it. And at the moment, Wilder versus AJ makes sense because I'm guessing that Wilder's he wants to fight the winner of Ortiz against Ruiz, and then the winner of that gets a title shot. But I mean, like I said, the biggest fight for him is Joshua. He's the cash cow. That's going to be where the money is. Both of them will be on a similar. Like I said, Wilder's now a superstar. He's pay per view now. You know what I mean? So that fight makes sense. It'll be stupid not to make that fight. At this time because all it takes is another bad loss, and then the fight gets even more. You know, interesting. I mean, Joshua lost to Usyk. Wilder lost to Fury. Both of those guys are, top talents, highly skilled. If they lose to anybody else, I believe people wouldn't want to see it as much, so they should fight straight after this Alania's fight. And like I said, I'm gonna be saying make it happen. I'm gonna be saying that, I'm gonna be doing videos. I'm not saying make the fight happen, So I mean, hopefully you guys do the same. And I really enjoyed, your guys' company today. Thanks for tuning in as always. I appreciate it. Um, hope to catch you all soon. I hope to catch you all soon. It was a great show for sure. We pretty much chopped it up of Zhang and the AJ Usyk fight. We talked about Fury, Usyk, talked about Wilder, AJ. I mean, that's some great conversations. I mean, um, Ruiz Wilder would be good, but Wilder AJ is a huge fight. Make it England, Wembley. Yeah, for sure, no doubt. Ruiz Wilder. I mean, like I said, Wilder's pay per view now. He's a superstar. He's gonna have a sellout in the Barclays. For sure. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Um, hope to catch you all soon, man. From my side to yours, I'm out. Peace. God bless. Have a great week. Have a good day. Have a good day at work and all of the above, man. Much love to you. And from my side to yours, peace. I'm out. Have a good one.